Join us for the PBR Monster Energy Invitational at the Southeastern Livestock Pavilion, January 16th and 17th in Ocala, Florida. Tickets start at $25. Get them now at PBR.com and find out what it means to be cowboy.
Welcome, everyone, to Inside the AAL for our third episode. I am Hunter Williams, joined as always by Tony Z, as well as a very special guest today. But you're going to be the one to do this great introduction for this guy.
Hunter, how are you this week?
I'm doing great.
Good. We have a lot of, Hunter, during the course of the year, we get a lot of different questions about rules and how the rules are different than indoor football rules. So I thought it might be easiest to invite our director of officials. Our owners have continuously selected him to oversee our officials. He trains our officials. He does our rules interpretation. He has a long, successful history in the arena/indoor football world. And I'd like to introduce Jerry Wilson. He's an NCAA official. Again, longtime arena official and indoor football. Jerry, welcome, Jerry Wilson, our director of officials. Jerry,
good afternoon. Yes, absolutely. Good afternoon, guys. It's good to be on tonight and good to talk a little football. I know last year we kind of lost our season due to this COVID-19 thing, and hopefully the good Lord's will, we're going to be back at it on the field this year, and I'm very excited to be back out there. As Tony says, I have 35 years in football officiating. 35 years high school, 29 years college, and I've been in arena football since 1998. I started in 98 with the AF2, and of course the AF2 was ran by the NFL, and it was a step down from arena football. We had pretty much the same rules as those guys did, and we had the nets. Everybody remembers the famous nets. And until you see a football come off of a net during a kick play or a pass play, you're like, holy shit, because once it hits that dang net, I mean, it can go any direction. So you just got to be prepared for it when it comes off. Through the years, there's been, I don't know how many, umpteen hundred indoor football leagues, and the weak ones seem to fade away after a year or so. Good to say that the AAL has been strong for several years now and is continuing to grow. We're excited about the opportunity to see the new teams come in and looking forward to it. As far as our rules, of course, with the Arena 2 League, when they had the nets, by law, we couldn't use the nets. So we wanted to take our game indoors also. So we had to adjust the rules so we wouldn't mess up any copyright laws or steal anybody's thing. So over the years, we kind of tweaked the rules as we went along. Some of the differences that we have that no one else has, we don't call our D-backs Mac and Jack like they did back in the arena days. Back in the day, the Mac and Jack had to declare which one was going to rush. We did away with that. We do not make our linebackers declare. We want the quarterback to be surprised. Either one can blitz as long as they blitz through the A gap, and they don't have to let him know who's coming. And in fact, they don't have to blitz at all if they don't want to, but only one can blitz. I remember we had, in one league, we had 2 high motion mans, but we only have 1 in the AAL. We make our tight ends on the offensive line declare, and the reason why we do that is to let the officials know if there's a busted play, who is eligible to go out and receive a pass off of the O-line. It could be a number 68 or it can be a number 72. And he is eligible to go out for a pass as long as he declares. And we will not let a play get off until he declares. Some of our rules we have, our D-line, we are letting them stunt, twist, and loop, whereas the other leagues doesn't. So, I mean, pretty much the indoor rules are pretty much in the same, but we do a little things different. And we're always open to changing the rules if all the coaches and owners agree. However, I make them think the rule through, and when they up to want to change something, I try to make them understand that, hey, if you do this, then you're not going to be able to do that. And usually after, explaining the rules to them, and Tony can verify, I think was it last year before last, they wanted to get rid of blocking below the waist. Remember, Tony?
Yes, I do.
When you got a little bitty back in the backfield and you got a 300-pound linebacker coming at him, the only way he's going to stop him is to cut him. And if you take cutting out of the game, it'll be like a Mack truck running over a dog if you don't allow him to cut. So we kind of keep that in our game. Of course, you're very limited to who can cut and when they can cut. But I think that's pretty much kind of little things that we do differently, Tony. Anything you'd like to add to that?
Well, I think you bring up a good point, Jerry. Maybe there's some other rules that we can refer back to. But, one of the things we do is once all of our owners distribute the rules to the coaches, they review the rules. And then what we do is we ask them to send in any potential changes. Then we have a conference call, or if, in the past, of course, we had league meetings, but due to the way society is right now it's conference calls all the time. So when we have a conference call, then we evaluate all the potential rule changes there are. And Jerry actually elaborates why the rules are in place and what's actually the history, because he's been in games so many years. He'll tell the history of the rule, why it's in place, and why it is what it is. And then we allow the owners to get back with their coaches, the head coaches, and they vote on the rules and make a decision how we're going to move forward.
Yeah.
And that's an annual event that we do before the season starts, so that everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, and we're, if it makes sense to change the rule, then, we'll do it. But if it doesn't make sense, then, we want to keep the game like it is and, and kind of stay away from as many rule changes as possible. Of course, we're always looking at player safety and those type things. But if it makes sense for the game, we're open. As long as everyone agrees and know what they're getting themselves into. We don't want to, change something and all of a sudden you get into the season and then everybody's like, hey, that ain't working. We want to avoid that if all possible.
Jerry, you know what? I was just thinking as we speak, one of the questions that often comes up is timing in an American Arena League game. Clock stoppage, just like, NFL, but, we get 2 minutes to the half about, we play running time versus all that. Can you jump in there and elaborate a little bit on the timing element, the quarter length and all that?
Absolutely. We play 15-minute quarters, 4 quarters per game, and it is a running clock. It's on incomplete passes. Only time we stop the clock is after a extra point. When they score a touchdown, the clock will continue to run. We give them a 35-second timing to get the next snap off. But other than timeouts and injuries, and after the extra point, it's a continuous clock. And then we get to the 1 minute, we call it the 1 minute rule. And then once we hit the 1 minute rule, then we go into regulation.
And that's part of the strategy of a game, of course. Each team practices what they're going to do offensively and defensively in that last minute of each half, in the second and fourth quarter, respectively. That's part of the practicing,
Yep.
and they get, it comes down to a science, just like teams
Yep.
do with the 4-minute one. It's no different. But one minute, as you know, with a 50-yard field, the game is a lot faster. It moves along quicker, and there's an awful lot of points that can happen in that last minute of the game. That's for sure.
Yep. And in other leagues, if the ball is kicked into the wall, say the opening kickoff, in some leagues it's dead right there. However, in our league, we allow it to bounce off the wall and continue as a live ball. And makes it a little exciting.
Yeah. And, and what we've come to learn, we've had some great kickers in our league through the years. And some of them have been such a weapon. Our original rosters were 20-player rosters. And what we've done is we're up to 21-man roster, we call it 21-player roster. And that 21st spot is always reserved for kicker, because as our owners and head coaches have learned, kickers have become a great weapon. We had a kicker, I believe it was 2 years ago. I mean, he was good for 7 points a game in the fact that he had a very high scoring offense. Jerry, you want to go into what happens after a touchdown and if they kick it between the uprights, or you want me to just continue?
Go ahead.
Well, what happened was they were very high scoring offense, and they averaged probably over 60 points a game. But after every touchdown, if the kicker puts the ball between the uprights, the team gets another point. So with all the touchdowns that they were scoring, this kicker was able to, he was able to be able to put it between the uprights on the kickoffs, which was, he does it 7 times a game. This particular game, I remember because I happened to be at, but this particular game, he put it between the uprights 7 times, and it was another touchdown worth of points. They did not need the points during this game, because they did end up scoring so many. I think it was in the high 80s, but it's a valuable weapon. And the kicking game gets overlooked, but it's such an important element.
Absolutely. And we've had some great kickers over the past few years.
Let's face it, the punting game is non-existent. If the team instead of ever thinking about punting, because it's, like I said, non-existent, right. They just sit up, they're just going to stay there and go ahead and line up for field goal instead of punting the ball off, because there's more likelihood that they're going to get some points out of it.
Yep. I remember a couple of years ago, they were wanting to, if you went for it and didn't make it, they wanted to, or if you kicked it and you missed the field goal, they wanted to bring it back to the spot where the kick was, and instead of going to the 25 and take it from there. And I'm like, hey guys, if you kick it from your 2-yard line and you miss everything, they're gonna get the ball on your 2-yard line. And after they scratched their heads, they all voted to do that. Remember, Tony?
Yes, I do.
They voted at the coaches meeting. They were going to change that rule. I'm like, guys, that's crazy. I'm like, if you would never kick again, because you'd be scared if you missed it. They would have the ball right there at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-yard line, and they'd score on you in a heartbeat. And they're like, yeah, you're right. Let's not do that.
Yeah, and Jerry's right. I think it was at the meeting, our league meetings in Myrtle Beach for the weekend, and the coaches were meeting upstairs, and they came down with these rules recommendations, and they came down and
they passed them.
Yeah, remember? That's right. Yep. And they came down, and they thought they thought they built the Brooklyn Bridge or something with this great idea and concept, and they were so passionate about it. And Jerry just looked at them and let them finish, and after they exhausted themselves, Jerry says, "I don't think that's going to work too well."
No, and they thought about it then, like, you mean if I kick it from the 2-yard line and I miss it, they get the ball on the 2-yard line? Yeah, that's what you're asking me. They're like, no, we didn't vote for that. And the other coach said, yeah, you did. We all voted for it. We all voted for it. I'm like, no, you don't want to do that for sure, because nobody would ever kick another field goal.
Yeah, we make sure that although the coaches make the recommendations, we evaluate it, then we share what our thoughts are. And 99.9% of the time, it's Jerry's thoughts, because again, he's definitely the expert. He shares the pros and cons. We go back to the coaches, explain it to them, and then we put it before all of the owners and explain it to the owners, because ultimately the owners have the decision in the rules.
Yeah, the funny part about it was the coach that wanted to do that had a good kicker.
Yeah, sure.
So if the other guys didn't have a good kicker, so that would give him the ball on their 2-yard line. So, I mean, it was smart thinking on his part, but for,
Right.
for the game, we didn't need it in the game.
Jerry, how about overtime? You want to, because that that hasn't been a real big, and I laugh only because it seems that every year we go a whole season, we don't even think about overtime. But when it comes to the playoffs, for some reason, we start thinking about it because games get a lot closer and a lot tighter because the better teams compete in the playoffs.
Yeah. Tony, in my 20-some years of officiating arena football, I don't ever think I've ever had an overtime game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unheard of. It's with these kickers getting these unos and, teams scoring a lot of points, there's never been nothing tight.
And fans, they often ask about it, and they're educated. I don't want to say, because our true fans are very educated about the sport and passionate, which is wonderful. But there's a realization is, as you said, with the Unos, there's so many scoring opportunities in so many different ways, and our games going into the 60s, the 70s, the 80s even, and the 90s too. Let's not forget. I mean, we've had games that teams have scored 90 points. It's just a fast-moving game. I mean, we've had teams that have committed even in the fourth quarter to running the football, which is very, very unlikely. But when you get a stud running back in a passing game, as you know, I mean, if the defense is set up always to defend against the pass, which is the nature of the sport, and you get a stud running back, that could add points because it's only a 50-yard field. So,
right.
It is overtime is not likely, and I try to explain that to the fans, and they want answers. But we it's very unlikely. As you said, you've been doing it for so long, and you haven't seen it. Never
had it. And another thing, Hunter, is what makes our game exciting too is the walls are alive. So a pass into the wall bounces up. I mean, it's a free ball. Anybody can go after it. And we have a rule that if the ball becomes stopped on top of the wall, somebody can come by and rake it off and run it either direction. So the wall is always live. I have never seen a ball come to a complete stop and somebody rake it off, but I have seen it hit the wall and bounce high, and fans catch it and players catch it. And, so of course we'd have fan interference if they reach over the wall and touch the ball while it's live. And we do have it occasionally, but not much, but we'll have it occasionally.
So if the ball falls over the wall into the fan side, would it be considered dead at that point?
It's dead. Now, if a player catches the ball, is in the air and catches the ball and goes over the wall, okay? I mean, he can jump and be in the air and catch the ball, and as long as he comes up with the ball and we can see the ball in his hand, it's a catch. It's not dead. Here's the thing. Sometimes they may go over the wall, but before and it may come out. If we get there and he's got the ball in his hands, I mean, we can't tell you that, no, he didn't catch it, or, you know what I'm saying? So we have to go with the catch.
I always, I've noticed with arena football compared to the NFL and college, one thing that always stands out every time I watch is the one receiver that can cross the line before the snap.
We call him the high motion man. So basically what we do is we give him a step and a half, okay? We give him a leg over the line of scrimmage and one in the air. He can be that much offsides, and we're not going to call that. We're going to continue to let him play. But if both feet hit down across the line of scrimmage, then we're going to blow it dead and call him offsides. But we're giving him a step and a half prior to the ball being snapped. A lot of people probably don't even realize that, because you hear a lot of, he's offsides, he was offsides. No, it's not that he's offsides. It's our rule gives him a step and a half leadway. But if that second foot touches down, then we're going to immediately blow it dead and give him a 5-yard penalty.
What's the origin of that rule? Where did that come up?
Back in the day, it came from the Canadian League. Remember the Canadian football? They used to have that guy where he could run toward the line of scrimmage. And so that's where that was pretty much adapted from back in the days. We kind of like it because Tony spoke a while ago of high scoring games. I mean, by the time that ball snapped, he's already 20 yards, 25 yards down the field, ready to catch a pass, because he's on a dead run. So it's just to bring excitement to the game,
And
It
one of
makes
the things
sense.
that,
I was just curious, like the origin of it, because I was always wondering like where they came up with the idea. But that's interesting that it came from the Canadian Football League.
Yeah, they were the first high motion. It sure was. In fact, they had 2 high motion men when it first started out. They had 2 men that could do that.
and am I correct, Jerry? I mean, that's what the other leagues played. Two of them, right?
Yeah, some of the leagues have played 2 motion men.
And we just have the one.
Yeah. And reason, if you got 2 high motion men, it's hard to officiate, Tony, because if he goes one way and the other one goes the other way, there's no way the back judge can see who's holding and who's holding him and who ain't. And so it's a lot easier with just one high motion man.
That makes sense.
Hunter, here's a simple thing, so our fans. So we have 5 officials that do our games.
Yeah. And Canadian had 7, so they had 3 downfield that could handle the 2 high motion men, where we only have 5, and we use 6 in the playoffs and championship games, Tony. But we'll put that extra man in the offensive backfield. But there's no way in the world we can put him downfield because he would interfere in the game.
So you've been official for for a long time. From what we've been talking about, what are some like the most memorable moments that you've had as an official?
The big thing is all the guys that I've officiated who's gone on to play in the NFL. Right here in my own backyard, do you remember the name Torrey Holt?
Yeah,
he was with the Rams, and he won a Super Bowl ring. They won the Super Bowl. He lives 15 minutes up the road from me, so I did all his games from the time he was a peewee till he went on to the NFL. So in fact, he has some camps ever so often for the little kids in the area, and I go and still help him. Another name, I don't know if you remember the name Rusty LaRue. He was he played a school here called Northwest Guilford, and then he went on to play at Wake Forest, and then he went on to play for the Chicago Bulls, and he's got 2 rings with Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
So I did him and his wife's games. He became a coach here in our local high school association. I did his 3 sons' games, and finally he retired a couple of years ago, and I laughed at him and said, Rusty, I'll be waiting for you grandkids. So, some of the players that I've met, Camilla Anthony, I done him, and I had him in AAU basketball. So, I mean, just to name a bunch of names that I've been associated with, I mean, that's what makes it, fun. Then come home on a Sunday and turn the TV on, and there they are playing at a higher league. I mean, that makes it all well worth it. So.
And you mentioned Torrey Holt, part of the Great Show on Turf, led by a quarterback who was also a former Arena League quarterback, and Kurt Warner.
Yes, he was. Kurt Warner. Yeah, and that was his quarterback when they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he came out of the Arena ranks. That's for sure. And because people don't understand, it's just quarterbacks. It's a quick decision game for quarterbacks, and it's a totally different beast. And when you go to the NFL with a little bit bigger field, which is double the size, there's so much value to that.
Yeah. And we've got some current NFL players in our game, Tony. We've had several come through that's retired. Definitely we've had a bunch of guys that played big time college football that never made it to the NFL, but I mean, we've got some great talent in our league.
We've had former Super Bowl starters. Chase Blackburn from the New York Giants, and being a New Yorker and a Giant and Jet fan. Chase Blackburn played in our league. We've had a number of people understand our caliber is we usually have 40 to 50 players a year with some type of NFL ties. Most of our other players are former D1 players, if not
Yep.
all Americans at all levels. And a lot of them, it's ironic that, as Jerry, as an NCAA official, he has seen them on the field when they were in college. So we have a high level of talent. And now this year, we've brought on a marketing company that also represents a lot of former NFL players. And they have added a lot of their former NFL players to team rosters already. So our teams are really loading up with a high caliber of play this year. And it continues to be elevated. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Every year we get stronger and stronger.
Right.
So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. It was Jerry. It was an honor to have you on here for the show. It was a great discussion today. Same with you, Tony Z, as always. We're close up here. Any last thoughts?
Now let's play football.
Yeah, let's play football. Let's get these vaccinations rolling, and the people in our society a lot safer and healthier, and
Yeah.
and let's we're ready to play some football.